And welcome, welcome. If you're watching from my Facebook personal page, I'm looking at two different cameras here. So I'm experimenting with multiple devices. So 21st century life going on right here. I've got three devices up. I'm going live here on Enlightened World Network from my laptop, and I've got the live up from my phone. So if you all see me looking in two different places, that's why. I've got my phone propped up here, and this is going to be fun. So I want to reach more people. So welcome to those of you who are watching from my Facebook page here. This is my personal page. And if you're not aware of this, I have a live stream that I've been streaming here to the page for the last few weeks or so on Enlightened World Network called A Course in Miracles 365, Awakening to Love. This is this live stream today. It's a daily live stream where I teach from my experience on A Course in Miracles. So what is that all about? Well, it's universal spirituality. As you know, I've had a blog on this called Change Without Limits over the past few years. As you may know, I've been a course student and teacher for the last 8 years. It's been the centerpiece of my spirituality and my spiritual practice. So thank you for tuning in and for joining me here. And this is on Enlightened World Network. I recommend you give them a follow. It's a great channel with several different beautiful programs, all of it universal spirituality. And if you're not familiar with A Course in Miracles, well, that's what we're talking about. Universal spirituality applies to everybody. All right. Well, welcome. Welcome. Thank you to all my Enlightened World Network friends. Thank you for tuning in here today. And what I'm going to talk about today is very profound. And as you've seen, following along in this workbook, it is one series of profound ideas after another. It's a series of profound truths that really, quite honestly, are amazing. They're amazing. And if I'm looking down, just so you know, I'm looking at my wife Cindy's iPad here to bring up the live and the comments. And let's just see if I can even do that. All right. Let's take a look here. 21st century technology, right? Here we are. All right, that took a moment. Thank you for joining me. All right, so we've got it up and live now. I'm live on 3 different devices. It's a little weird, but this is 21st century life. And so here we go. Okay, so the idea for today is workbook lesson 97. And that is quite simply a statement of the truth. The last few days, we've been looking at statements of truth. And as you know, only truth is true. Who said spirituality and logic were completely divorced from one another? How obvious can that one be? Only truth is true. Lesson 97 is a statement of truth. I am spirit. Okay, that's it. That's it. That's all. I am spirit. So, what does this mean? Well, it's a statement of truth. It's a statement of who we are. As we looked at yesterday, with yesterday's idea in the workbook, this is quite simply the way it is. We are not, even though the world tells us that we are, a physical body, ultimately. This is something that is not easy for some people to accept, or it might be very easy for you to accept. What we're talking about with A Course in Miracles is ultimate truth. In other words, the truth of who we are without all of our conditioning. Literally, with none of this. All of it wiped away and gone, left behind. It's who we really are, minus all of our concepts, minus the ego, minus a separate sense of self. That's exactly what we're talking about here in the course and in spirituality in general. So all forms of spirituality are in fact leading to absolute or ultimate truth, the truth of who we really are. And only that is true. I am spirit. I'm not a physical body, nor am I the mind, nor am I the logical, rational, thinking mind that we so elevate here in the Western world. I find myself in the United States. You may be joining me from Europe. A number of you are. People have been joining me from Australia, New Zealand. We live in the 21st century, and the rational thinking mind is highly elevated in global culture. And it just is. And our science books tell us we're a body, and doesn't tell us much, does it, about the mind, unless you study quantum physics or psychology, right? Maybe then. However, spirituality is not about textbooks. Isn't that exciting? That should be exciting to all of us, isn't it? That spirituality is not about textbooks, it's about experience. So the workbook for students in A Course in Miracles aims to teach us the truth about ourselves so that we can experience it. One of the beautiful things about this workbook is it gives us something to do. All right, something practical to do and to work on. Every idea for the day is called a lesson. Every lesson has some commentary to help us better understand the day's idea. Then it has some suggestions for practice. So today, with lesson 97, it's no different. I am spirit. Now, we've seen, and you may instinctively know, whether you have heard this or seen this in written form or not, that we are one with our Creator, God, one with. Right? And if you choose to call God something else, then please, by all means, do that. For those of you tuning in who aren't familiar with A Course in Miracles, it uses terms like God, Jesus, the Holy Spirit that may be familiar to those of you from a Western Judeo-Christian background. It also uses the term the ego, which will be heavily, heavily familiar to you if you've studied Buddhism, Hinduism, or Eastern philosophy of any kind. It really melds the two. So what we're talking about here are universal spiritual truths that can apply to you and your own practice, your own walk, no matter what that is. No matter what that looks like, this is something that applies directly to you. All right. Yeah, that's a mic drop moment, yes. It applies directly to all of us. So what do we do with this notion, this idea? I am spirit. It's the truth of who we are. Problem in the world? We don't believe that. We believe we're running around having our separate existences, our own separate little cut-off parties. And, well, we do battle with each other. We experience conflict. We experience wars, genocides, global pandemics. We experience all kinds of negativity every time we turn on our social media feeds, don't we? Because we have people, friends, family members that just because they can use this incredibly powerful platform for disseminating hatred. Well, guess what? It can also be used in the service of love. So can the mind, so can the body. It's all a matter of where we place this. So, are you using your whole being in the service of love, or are you not? If you're not, it's in service of the ego by default. Those are the choices. It's love or fear. Literally, it's one or the other. Now, this is not something that I hope people see as scary. Right? Because every moment of every day, we have the opportunity to make a choice. We get to, and I emphasize, get to make a choice. We have free will that has never been taken away from us. Now, if you were raised differently, okay, you were raised differently. I was raised very differently. This, A Course in Miracles, universal spirituality, Buddhism, none of that even entered into my upbringing. I always knew about it deep down. I always knew, so that when I rediscovered these A Course in Miracles was confirmation that yes, I am spirit. So what do we do with this? Practice. How do we practice that? Well, you start by making time for yourself. It doesn't have to be several minutes as recommended in the workbook, though if you can do this to the letter of the suggestions of the workbook for students, that's absolutely, it's a beautiful thing if you can do that. So if that doesn't happen, remember today's idea as often as you can. That's my suggestion, is as many times as you remember this, make some time, even just a few seconds for yourself, and restate this. I am spirit, and then ask your guides to be shown this experientially. Ask to be shown the truth about yourself. This is what we call in spirituality allowing. Yeah, it's getting out of our own way. It is not just a tacit, but an implicit omission that by ourselves we don't have the answers. It's clearly not working out for us. It's not working out for us. Yeah. So we ask for help. Yeah. That's what this is. It's asking for help. It's getting out of our own way. We restate the day's idea and we allow ourselves to be shown. Now, what will this look like? I don't know. It depends on yourself. It depends because it's different for everybody. The messenger takes many, many forms in life. It can be a feeling. It can be sounds that you hear. You may practice this idea, and then 2 or 3 minutes later, you get a text or a phone call or an email that somehow reaffirms today's idea. Perhaps you've been looking for an answer in your life, in business, in a personal relationship, could be anything. Practice this, then boom, the answer comes. May not always be the form that we take, because it could be someone's voice. It could be a voice that, a divine voice. It could be a feeling that we get or a certainty. But just continue to show up and ask the question, right? Continue to ask to be shown. This is what we do. We recite, I am spirit. This is the truth about ourselves. You are one with God. God is not a separate being. There is no separation of any kind at all. So if you are tuning in for the first time, the summary at the beginning of the text of A Course in Miracles is very succinct. It's very, very matter of fact, isn't it? It's beautifully matter of fact, and it's very straightforward. And it simply says the Course can be summed up in the following way. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Therein lies the peace of God. All right. Nothing real, who we really are, can be threatened. Nothing unreal, who we're not, ego, exists. Therein lies the peace of God. This is why spirituality often talks about flipping on a light switch, so to speak. It's a beautiful visual analogy. If you walk into a dark room, it's dark, turn on the light. What happens to the darkness? It's gone. It was never there. And it's like it was never there. Boom, it does not exist. It is literally shown away. It's canceled. It's canceled. This is awakening to love. It is not a battle. We are doing enough battle against ourselves, but in order to awaken to the truth of who we are, we actually need to drop the battle. A workbook for students is one of many ways that exist in the world to do just that, to drop the battle. So that's what you're doing. When you reassert today's idea, I am spirit, you are reasserting the truth about yourself. All right. So I love to, on this live stream, see who's watching. Cindy, hey, how are you? All right, watching from my main Facebook feed. What's going on? How's it going? Cindy's driving to yoga class right now. And hello to everybody on Enlightened World Network. I welcome your comments and your questions. So please feel welcome to leave them here in the comment thread. And I do check this from time to time every day. Just let me know what you're up to. And if you have questions about today's lesson or anything related to spirituality, I'm more than happy to talk about it. Hello, Kimberly. How are you? Thanks for tuning in here. Yes, surrender to love. I love it. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. All right. So guys, this is, if you're watching on my main Facebook page, I think I'll continue to experiment with this, maybe with different lighting, maybe with different camera angles, maybe with a selfie stick. So I'm not looking down. Right. But this is something that I want to do so I can reach more people. This is my aim, is I want to reach as many people as possible because this is what I am here for. All right. We are all teachers, whether we hold ourselves out as teachers or not. That's what we all are. Why? Because everybody is in our energetic field, so to speak, right? We're communicating with each other. This is what the physical body is for. Hey, Sergio, how are you? Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. It's a communication device. So no matter whether we hold ourselves out as a teacher or an instructor or not, doesn't make any difference because you're always demonstrating to people. You walk down the street, if you smile at somebody, that's an act of love. Yeah, it's an act of kindness, yes. If you walk down the street and frown at somebody and give them the middle finger, throw something at them, or worse, yeah, that's an act of fear. It's an ego-based decision. Yeah, it's an ego-based action, right? Where this other person is opposed to you somehow in your mind, some way. That is a perfect example of how simple this truth really, really is. How you show up affects other people, in other words. So we're all demonstrating. In that sense, we're all teachers. Whether we hold ourselves out as such or not, it really doesn't matter because we are all interconnected. So thank you all for tuning in on both pages here. This is a daily live stream on Enlightened World Network. And to all my friends at Enlightened World Network, thank you for tuning in with me here today. I will be back here tomorrow. All right. And we're going to experiment with streaming this different ways to reach more people. That's the aim of this. That's why Enlightened World Network exists. And I thank you all for tuning in, for all of the comments, all your hearts, all your shares, for letting me know you're watching here today. Thank you for all of that. And I will see you back